Are you ready for an adventure in spirituality? You have arrived for your divine appointment. You may not have known what you signed up for today, but your soul, I believe, did. Your spirit does. So right where you are, I want you to consider taking a friend or two on this journey with you. This is a book study, and book studies are sometimes easy introductions to things. They're easy to get into with someone else. So if you're a live streamer, think about sharing this and thinking about getting a buddy to either talk about it with or connect with, and just email the YouTube videos of the talks and then chat about them. Think about connecting on a deeper level and how you can share this with yourself in a deeper way, finding someone who you can be totally authentic with to bring everything to, or to prosper the world outside of you and bring someone teachings that may help them in this season of fall so that we can lift each other up. And certainly if you've not signed up for a small group yet, you might want to get into one because they are incredible ways to make connections. And if you don't have the time available right now to make a consistent commitment to a once-a-week group, you can always join our after in-person discussion Sundays after the service here or online. They start right after the service online. So you could go into a deep dive as you're able. Eric Butterworth, a Unity minister and teacher who has given our movement so much. He used to serve in New York City and served here when he was in his physical form, in his earth suit. He says this. He says, "Know that the truth is not something that you learn or accumulate in memory, but something you unfold within yourself. Neither praying that God will make you a better person nor affirming that you are now perfect will enable you to become more than you were created to be. None of those things will make you more than you were created to be. Truth is not something that we learn or accumulate in memory," he says. He also says, "Life is for living, not merely existing. The goal of human experience must be to climb the ladder of self-realization." So that's our journey, climbing the ladder of self-realization. And this year, we're using the book by Michael Singer, Living Untethered. Years ago, we did The Untethered Soul, and you can still find that on YouTube if you want to dive into that book as well or after this series. But Living Untethered, and it is about that journey of self-realization, which Michael Singer calls the seat of awareness. The seat of awareness. Sometimes in the human condition, we get mesmerized, do we not? We become identified with this body, this age, this time and place, the outer world, our inner world, and it becomes what we focus on. But there's something beyond all that, and that's the journey we're about to go on. Has anyone ever felt like they've always been them in there? Now, some people experience this when they're younger, and some people experience it when they're older. I know I have friends that, have grown in age, and they say to me, "But I still feel like that 20-something in here," or "I still feel like that, I'm still right here." And I always felt that when I was a kid. I always was just really tuned into, in a very weird way, I am clearly in a kid's body, but this is me in there. And whoever this is not 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I turn 11 and here she's still here. 20 and she's still here. 30 and she's still here. And sometimes when people are less identified with their physical form, their body, and their age, they start realizing that, right? You start realizing oh, wait, I'm not my gender, I'm the one presencing it. I'm not my age, I'm the one presencing. I'm the one behind the scenes. watching the movie. And there's a key there to awakening. Because there is a freedom there is a peace there that passes all understanding. But we are often so saturated in time and form, we are so inundated with our minds and how they work and all the thoughts and all the emotions that we forget, we fall asleep. I love this line from Michael Singer. I love it because I've experienced it. And I love the way he puts things. He says, bottom line, you don't stand a chance in there. The constant barrage of these three experiences, which he is referring to the emotions, the thoughts, and the outer experiences and our consciousness of presencing them. He said, based on these three experiences, it's like a three-ring circus going on inside all the time. The effect is so overwhelming, it's like a conspiracy against you. The outside world has a major influence on your thoughts, and your thoughts and emotions will generally line up. And he goes on to talk about that experience, but I love the words, it's like a three-ring circus. Sometimes we forget that the human condition is like a three-ring circus, and we think we are the three-ring circus, or we think it's the only experience we can have. And we become tossed about in that experience. But the whole practice of truth, the whole practice of spiritual principles, this whole journey that we're on of self-realization and awakening is about inviting us into a different doorway, inviting us into a different perspective, inviting us into a different experience so that we can call upon it when we find ourselves falling asleep, so that we can come from it. Now, there are a lot of books that we could have looked at this year, and honestly, I sifted through a lot of books that are fairly, traditional unity thought, like your thoughts held in mind, create after their kind. So if you focus on this, then you'll get this. And if you do this, then that'll happen. And forgive this, and then these things outside will change. And do this and X, Y, Z in this way, and all of a sudden, everything outside of you will be better and more aligned with what you want. I don't think it's time for that right now. Someone told me if we're born onto this planet at this day and age, in this body right here that is yours, in this being that is yours, you have been given everything that you need. Stop looking outside. Dive inside. Because the master teacher and all spiritual saints and sages throughout time have not taught that it's about changing the outer conditions. That doesn't mean it's not important, right? But it's the inner expansion and the inner awakening, the inner drive, the inner rising that is the key to our awakening, our freedom, and our peace. So no doubt there is a gap between what we as humans and individuals and a collective are capable of, and the gap is very difficult to presence, is it not? I have struggled with the gap my whole life. Oh, it tortures me. All I can think about when I think about what to do is how can we decrease the gap? But the spiritual practice is about putting the oxygen mask on first. It's about knowing what is real beyond real. It's about knowing what is true beyond true. It is about the deepest sense of the practice. And everyone knows that the world does what the world does. And if we want to show up for it and actually activate change, actually make shift, actually begin to lessen the gap, in any way, shape, or form, we have to begin to see beyond the gap and see no gap so that the gap does not exist within us. And it is from there that we move forward. From a place of peace, from a place of serenity that needs no reason, that needs no outer circumstances to call it forth, from a place of truth and principle, but are worth saying, life is for living, not merely existing. But the human condition is one that we have such trouble with these three things that Michael Singer is saying. They cause suffering or they cause great joy, but either way, either one of those is attachment. It's like, ooh, I want more of this. Oh, I'm repulsed by this. And what do? We just keep waving back and forth. Give me more, get that away. Give me more, get that away. And he reminds us, Michael Singer, that it's not about that. That in fact, to show up in a more expansive way, we need to recognize who we are, and that's it. It's that simple, but boy, does it seem difficult sometimes. And boy, can we as humans make it complicated, yeah? So here's what I want to say about this book. Don't worry about it if you don't like it. Don't worry about it if you do. Don't get attached to liking it or not. It's not about that. There is a saying of the Buddha, never mistake the finger for the moon, right? Never mistake the finger for the moon. If you're pointing to the moon, don't stare at the finger too long. Well, Michael Singer's book is one that is an embodiment of someone's experience with the intention of offering it up and out and translating it to each one of us so that we may take the trip to the moon. And if we look at the finger, we won't get there. So it's not that this book is something different. It's not that it has something. And in fact, it's a very unique, almost creative expression of what turned him on to the truth. But unless we're on the ride, see, if we're on the mental ride there, we won't get there. Unless we're on the ride, unless we take it as like, I have 7 weeks to sit down with Michael Singer and have a cup of tea. And go on the trips he takes me on. With no expectation, but just the way you would ask a child, so what was your first day of school like? And you just dive in. Or tell me about that story, and you just let yourself be lifted or carried to a place, knowing that it's not here to do something. It's not here to do something, but you're to actually get into it. Like a really good novel, right? Like a movie. If you sit there and you're at a movie, right? And you're like, oh, that actor, now he was also in here. What a different character scheme this is. You know, oh, I've never seen this one playing comedy because he always plays dramas. And look at that screen. Hey, do you see that fly sitting on that nose? Is that a fly or is that a little break in the screen? What is that? Gosh, the sound is too loud. Like my last time at the movies, I literally was like, okay, I have a new invention. If you know me, I always have a new invention. Now we need to go to the movies with headsets that have dials on them so that we can set our own sound. Like enough trying to make me deaf because everyone else wants it really loud. And as I'm sitting there in the seat next to my little one thinking this, she said, you know what, Mama? They need headsets. And I was just like, dude, is this going to be happening? We fail to see what is in front of us. But if we analyze and we're thinking throughout a film, throughout a novel, right? If we're taking ourselves out of it, we don't arrive there, do we? The way to get there is to let go of all of that and enjoy the journey. So Michael Singer talks a lot about space, which I love. You may hate. That's okay. But he talks about science and he talks about space. And I know why he's doing it because I share that part of his mind. And I'm known for, at very inopportune times, at times when it's probably not appropriate, to just look at people and go like, can you believe this that's happening, this thing called life? Isn't it just wild? Isn't it just wild? And for some people, that's really uncomfortable because it's more comfortable to forget how freaking wild this is. That we are in bodies, people. We all have toes. Wiggle your toes for a second. We have toes. Like, what? We have toes. Think about that for the rest of the week. You could pick things up with them. You have them. They're these little, like, perfect little things that do things, and without them, we don't stand the same way. It's about being lifted in a journey. And for some of us, space and science can do that. It can make you go, whoa, this is not what it appears to be. It's true that I am on a rock traveling through space. I have a friend that reminds me that anytime I'm stressed out, he goes, remember, you're on a rock spinning through the atmosphere, like spinning through space. Remember, you're riding on a rock. And it's like, oh, okay. Everything that I think that I think that I think that I think that I know, everything that I think is important or I think I know how it works, there's more beyond there. And this journey is about whatever does that for you, whatever gets you to the place where you break through your mind and you wake up again. And whether that's looking at the new telescope pictures and recognizing that Saturn is crazy, wild, awesome, right? Or hearing new research about underwater creatures that make different sounds that are inaudible, or being able to measure emotion. Those things that you go, gosh, even if I can't see it, that doesn't mean it's not here. Even if I can't hear it, that doesn't mean I can't listen. Even if I can't perceive it, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. This is something I don't really want to share, but it's here. Every once in a while, and I grew up kind of through Boulder, Colorado. And if you know anything about Boulder, you know, Boulder. It's like you can experience anything in Boulder. And so part of my college time and growing through different exploring of spiritualities and all of that was going to different things in Boulder. So I had my aura painted. I worked with a Native American shaman. I did hands-on healing or above hands healing, Reiki, therapeutic touch, all of those things, right? And I had been with people that have spiritual gifts, call them whatever you want to call them, but they get things, they get understandings. And I am also not one of the most woo-woo people you'll ever meet. Like, for sure. I love science and I love reason. I'm grounded, I think. I mean, you could probably dispute that, but I think I'm pretty grounded. But I still, from those times, take on a practice when I feel like I really need to check in on a deeper level and blow my mind a little bit, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when you need to be reminded that things are different. And so I look for people with gifts and you know, a lot of gifts that I don't have, but I trust people, right? And so I came across a friend, a beloved, who has a friend, a beloved, who has a gift. And that gift is for connecting with who you are. And sometimes people from their freedom form connect through. And now some of you might want to get up and run already. That's okay. Just stay centered. This day is for you. So I checked out this guy. And I'm very clear on none of us. I'm very clear on not leaning on anyone, right? Not becoming obsessed with anything, not giving away your power, not losing your mind to something, right? But just so this is something that I very infrequently do, but when I'm like, I need something to remind me that there's more than I'm looking at. Anyway, that little nutshell of this experience of this being with this person that doesn't know me at all, the person mentioned a couple of people that were kind of here as supports to me. And one of them, and he just said it straight out. He's like, there's a woman on your father's side, and her name is Dot or Dorothy. And the last person I would have thought, and sorry, Grammy, would have been there, she and I are kicking it up about this, would be my dad's mother, but her name is Dorothy, Dot. And it was just like, even just that, I'm not going to go into any more of that, but even just that, going like, out of all the names of humans and all of this, you just said my grandmother's name. And he said, and I just get the picture of angel wings, and that just means she's looking out for you. And I was like, in my being, like, okay, Grammy. Like, wow. And there was so much more to it. But gifts that we don't see, that we don't know about. The truth that there is so much more here than meets the eye. Science is discovering it all the time. And yes, it's weird and wild. And it's also a portal to remembering the most simple thing ever, which is who we are. That we are light, that we come from light, that we are not our bodies, that we are not limitations, that even this outer world, even our emotions, even our feelings cannot limit us. And to begin to find and feel our safety in that, to begin to remember who we are and what that does. So, as far as our journey together, we're not here to analyze this journey, we're here to metabolize this journey. And whatever that means about where you take it there. Allow yourself. Give yourself this gift. No one else needs to know. You're not up here accidentally sharing stories you don't want to share. You don't have to tell anybody anything about this journey. It's yours. Let's take a moment together. Just take a moment in meditative prayer together to just do your own process, your own practice of saying, sweet spirit, whatever it is, whatever your words are. There is no God that has self-confidence issues that needs you to think of its beingness, its flow, its love, it as life, as anything other than what you naturally do. So sweet spirit, I am in this awakening. I am here. I am listening. My intention is full. There is one life, one power, one presence. I am ready for the next stage of my awakening, the next moment of my evolution. I'm here to see, to hear. Don't worry about scaring me. I'll be in awe and wonder, and I'm ready. And just fill in that space right now with whatever your heart intention is, whatever it is, and lift it up. We are listening. We are one in the one. And so it is. So we're here to take this journey, to dive in to our purpose. And the purpose is simple. It's about awakening. It's about exploring and feeling safe. This is a safe space to explore. And it is about returning home to who and what you are. There are things and moments before you that you miss because you know not who you are. That statement earlier by Eric Butterworth, it's like, there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you need to do. No amount of work will make it more true or not. It's right here. That was the teaching of the master teacher, Jesus. The kingdom of God is within you and around you. Like, follow this and you won't get there. Follow that. Like, right here, come home. Come home. I want to share with you just a little bit from the book. So Singer talks about how we are constantly distracted by these outer objects in the outer world, and a lot of us get that. But then he starts talking about the inner world as well as a focus of our consciousness and how real we make it. And he asks us to go on this journey of just entertaining the possibility that even your emotions and your thoughts are not you. I mean, if there's anything we feel connected to, it's our emotions and our thoughts, right? Like, we are the movie of our emotions. It's hard to say that that's not me. And the idea is not to discredit or discount them. The idea is to recognize they're all tools, right? And the same thing with the thoughts. The thoughts happen. We're thought machines. If we're so identified with them, then we think we're the one directing all that all the time. And that's one of the things in New Thought is that sometimes we try a little too much to start controlling that. Like, oh, those are some bad thoughts. I need to make them better. Let me stop putting those ones in and put these ones in. And that is helpful to a degree, but not when you're in a tennis match and you're the ball going back and forth between the good ones and the bad ones constantly, right? Craving aversion, good, bad, Just step back and watch the game. Watch the match. My daughter recently started preschool. And she was in the backseat of the car when we were driving one of these afternoons. And out of nowhere, she just said, let me think of her exact words so I get them. She said, Mama, my mind is so busy thinking about all the things I did today. Just turned 4 years old. My mind is so busy thinking about all the things I did today. I loved it that she didn't identify with it. It's like she's watching her mind and she's like, whew, this is different. Whew, there's a lot more going on in here. Ooh, like I could see her watch all the things pop up, thought after thought after thought, and going like, there are a lot of streets on this car. A lot of cars on this street today, right? That's the practice. Watching that, being aware. Singer says, you are the one who is noticing the thoughts. You are the one who is watching them, like watching the clouds go by. When we think we are the thoughts and we think we are the emotions, we hold on to them. We get stuck in them, whether they're the good ones or the bad ones or the neutral ones. Thoughts are just another thing you notice in there. You notice the world coming in from outside, and you notice the thoughts that are generated inside. He goes on to say that when we get connected with the you that's in there, the you that's watching, this is called the seat of awareness. That's the self-realization, the seat of awareness. Can you sit back and go to the seat of the awareness, just little by little, moment by moment? That's like if that was the only thing we did this week, it's like when a thought comes up, when a feeling comes up, when we see something in the outer world, can we just try to step back just a little, like we're on planet Earth, and you know how you can just see us getting farther away? Like if we had a camera, literally we could have a camera, say a drone, say some magical drone that wasn't invented, and it could be right over here, and just look up at it, and you just saw it, and now it just goes up, 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 up. And now it's like way off in the galaxies. It's like that, just taking a different camera view. And that's all we're doing this week. It's just going, oh, there's a thought, there's a thought. Who am I? Who's in here? Oh, this is the one observing. In Buddhism, they call it the observer self. He gives us a practice to say, hi, are you in there? He said, even go up to a mirror and wave at yourself. Hi, are you in there? The bottom line is that awareness is the key. And starting to take the steps of awareness to recognize how the laws of being, the spiritual laws of being work, we can free ourselves. He goes on to say, The one who is seeing all this is the most beautiful thing in the whole universe. The one who is seeing all this is the most beautiful thing in the whole universe. If you ever find your way back to the seat of self, that's what you're going to discover. This is what Christ taught you, what Buddha taught you, what all the great spiritual masters of every tradition have taught. The kingdom is within you. You in there are a very great being made in the image of God. But to know that, you have to free yourself from all of the inner commotion. Are we ready to be free? Namaste.